Hello, good evening, and welcome to Final Boss Fights. My name is Jeff, and I am in the chair for this evening, and I'm joined by a somewhat reduced crowd this week. I'm joined by
Hi.
John. John is the crowd this week.
I mean, I'm also in a chair.
Yeah,
Here
not
is a
not in not
chair.
not in not in the chair, not in the chair.
I've, I've not been made to stand up or something.
So I thought we'd do something a bit different tonight. We've done something like this a couple of times, once or twice before, but I recently acquired a new adventure game book.
Before we start though,
Yes.
because yesterday it didn't go off very swimmingly. Your book is also fading out of existence.
Yeah. That's that,
Uh,
that that adds to the mystique of
that
it.
happens.
that's that's
Uh,
that's not the camera's fault.
Colby Ridge 18. Thank you so much for following, subscribing, and sharing your bits last night. My OBS was having fun times. Um, so, welcome to the final boss fight party, and take up your sword and take your chair at the round table because you are a member of the FBF Knights.
You get the nice
And
purple
thank you
name.
for buying all three of the wristbands you bought from Conflux Leatherworks at MCM. We hope to see you again in May because he is hoping to actually be there and bring more things.
Sounds good.
Also, hey Ben. No, we haven't traded chairs. This is still my chair.
I want that chair though. I'll be honest. I would like that chair.
Annie was asking about this chair as well, so I think I
Yeah.
have got some competition for the chair.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, other people are going to buy the same chair.
Also, hey Stanza. I don't know if there's a betrayal or not. I haven't actually read this book myself yet. I've been saving it for this.
Well, I mean, how am I going to betray me?
Oh no, I think, or maybe you get betrayed.
Well, but I'm the only one here.
Maybe the book betrays you. I don't
Maybe
know. Let's find out.
that's the only way. Like, this is how I'm avoiding betrayal. I'm the only one that came to the stream.
So, this is the book I've got as it fades in and out of existence. The House on Sentinel Hill. A Lovecraftian adventure horror game book written by Graham Plowman, who also does a lot of really good Cthulhu Mythos music and soundtracks. So that's which I've been using in some of my Call of Cthulhu streams. So, John, are you ready to begin your journey to the house on Sentinel Hill? Assuming his Discord hasn't suddenly broken because his camera has frozen. Are you there?
I'm here.
Good.
My Discord did a thing.
The madness has started already.
It definitely has.
Yeah. So,
Stanza, I hope I can't be betrayed by my chair. I can apparently be betrayed by my internet connection, which has been repeatedly betraying me this week.
so, well, let's start and see how far we get.
Sure.
Prologue. My name is Frank Winston. I'm a
Is that
journalist.
me?
That's you. This is you. Yes, this is
Okay.
you. Yeah. I'm a journalist, and the tale I'm about to tell you is true. I can barely comprehend what happened to me in that house and beyond. I try to forget every day. Every day I try to hold my mind together. I thought back to that fateful day, many weeks prior, that I happened upon the newspaper clipping in the Miskatonic Library archives while researching for my column in the Arkham Gazette. The article was 10 years old. Newport Examiner, October the 5th, 1916. Yesterday evening, Sergeant John O'Mahony of the Newport Police Department was called out on business up north to investigate a series of killings that have shocked the sleepy town of Durham. It has been reported that 3 bodies were discovered by the local Reverend Thomas Down in a house 5 miles west of the town. In his report, Sergeant O'Mahony has stated that the victims were members of the Turn family, who had been residing in the house for 3 years before, having recently moved to the locale from Vermont. The locals say they were decent folk, but personally kept to themselves, with no known grievances with any other local or person known. Further to
That's convenient.
investigations, Sergeant O'Mahony has revealed that only 3 of the 4 family members remain accounted for at this time. and a search, possibly a manhunt, is underway to find Edward Turn, the eldest son of 12 years. At the gruesome scene, Jacob the father, Melissa the mother, and Sarah, the youngest child of 5 years, were all found with strange puncture wounds on their abdomen and very little blood remaining. There was no blood at the scene. Police would not elaborate further on this matter. The police are also looking for a stranger to the town who was seen acting suspiciously the day before the bodies were discovered. He wandered out of town on foot, seemingly dazed and confused, and avoided the locals. He had an unkempt appearance, with some reporting it looks as though he had been in an accident. Thus far, he has not presented himself for questioning. Police would like to eliminate him from the inquiries. The house, which sits atop Sentinel Hill, named for its far-reaching view in all directions, no stranger to bad tidings. That's empty for 14 years prior due
Is it
to...
any stranger to love?
I guess so.
Does it know the rules?
I
And
don't
so
know.
do we.
It sat empty for 14 years prior due to events in 1899. I'm guessing not by reading the description here.
Okay.
It was previously the scene of more gruesome murders, which saw a whole generation of a family wiped out by unknown killers. Could it be the same killers returning after a 17-year absence? Professor Albert Peabody of the Miskatonic University doesn't believe so, but his keen interest in the developing field of forensic science has led him to the house. He is aiding the police with their investigation. At his request and by order of the Newport Police Department, the house will not be deemed habitable again. Also, after the initial investigations, Professor Peabody has asked that the house remain standing to preserve the crime scene. So why you would do that, I've got no idea. Forensic science may
Sure.
take years to mature, but when it does, we will be able to walk back into that building and study the evidence contained within its walls with new perspectives. One day we may discover the truth. I had
Well,
tried
it
to
sounds like I should go there.
contact Professor Peabody at the university, but he'd been away on a research trip for years. An old friend of his, Professor George Stein, hasn't heard from him in all that time, but had remarked that Albert had initially been obsessed with that old case of the house for a long time, but eventually just lost interest in it and suggested to all to forget about his own pointless interest in the place. He remarked he was ashamed he wasted so much time on the worthless endeavour. Then, one day, he just left the university grounds to travel for research. The university wasn't funding his trip, so no one could say where he was. There was no paper trail to follow. I decided to indulge my curiosity and plan a trip to Durham. As I mentioned, I write for the Arkham Gazette, with unsolved mysteries, folklore, and local legends being my main interest. My column, What Lies Beneath, was rather popular, and this tale seemed like quite a find. I felt compelled to see this place for myself. How I wish I had never had such inclinations or morbid predilections. How I wish
Hey,
I...
the Gurks.
Hello. How I wish I never found that accursed house on Sentinel Hill.
I'm starting to think it's not a good idea to go there.
The year is 1926. September the 23rd. The time is 4:45 p.m. Fading sun casts a grey silhouette across the crumbling road as your Chevrolet bumps and crunches its way through the falling leaves.
Oh, I've
Multicolored,
got a Chevrolet.
yep, multicolored tree line sways in the early fall breeze, with most of their leaves still clinging on. The roadside thickets and overhanging trees clip the side of your automobile every few feet. You hear cracks and snaps as the twigs that stray too far break off or are snapped under the wheels. The town of Durham must not get many visitors, at least not using this route. The birds are singing, however, with chirps and songs aplenty, seemingly taking no notice of your intrusion. You are thankful, at least, that the area is not silent, for if it weren't for the bird song, fancy that it would be slightly foreboding to the outsider. Only slightly foreboding. Only slightly foreboding.
Slightly, a little bit foreboding.
You shrug off those fanciful thoughts and emerge from under the canopy of leaves. The trees thin out and become meadows, extending far on both sides of the road. Tall grass sways in some, while others are clearly victim of the harvest, bare and flat. Beaten up old sign nailed to a thick post reads Durham. Squinting through the glare of the low sun, you see the town up ahead. You enter the town and pull your vehicle into a garage. The sign over the place reads Pete's Fuels Depot. You don't need fuel just yet. You've more than enough for the time being. You're looking for the directions to Sentinel Hill before it gets too late. You had hoped to arrive hours earlier, but took a wrong turn in Kingsport. The garage is just one pump and looks a little run down. The paint is peeling from the wood-panelled walls, and there is no sign of any attendant. Stepping out of the automobile, you look up and down the street, thankful for the opportunity to stretch your legs. Quiet. You spot an elderly lady shuffling along on the other side of the road, paying no heed. There's not another soul around. What will you do? Approach the old lady for directions, or ignore the woman and enter the garage?
Um, I will approach the elderly woman.
You take a few steps toward the old lady, which prompts her to stop walking. Good afternoon, ma'am, you say. I was
Good
wondering if
afternoon.
I was wondering if you could help me. You see, I'm not from around these parts, and you don't say, answers the woman, cutting you off. Her head is bowed. Her heavily lined face remains fixed on the path in front of her feet. But you can see her eyes and heavy brow rise to look at you. What will you ask her? Tell her you're looking for Sentinel Hill and ask if she can direct you, or inquire about the town in the absence of...
Sentinel Hill is foremost in my thoughts right now, apparently. So
Really want to get to this place.
I want to get there before it gets dark, and yeah, let's ask about Sentinel Hill.
Okay. I'm looking for Sentinel Hill. See, I read about this old house up there and wanted to take a look. You pause to allow the woman to respond. She lifts her head slightly, looks you in the eye, but remains silent. You see, I couldn't find it on a map, but I read it was close to Durham. Continue, a stare making you feel on edge. You're about to continue further when she speaks up suddenly. Sentinel Hill, you say? What would your business
Yes.
be with that old place, eh? What is your response? Tell her you're writing an article about the murders 10 years ago? Tell her you're curious because you're thinking of moving out of the city? Or ask why the town is so quiet?
I'm writing an article. Nothing ever came bad from just telling the truth.
He looks you up and down for a moment, the lined face locked in a curious stare. Then she speaks up. Tragic that was. Poor family. 'Twas the boy that did it, didn't you hear? Young Edward, eh? Turn. Yeah, that was it. Turn. He turned on his own. Ha 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 ha. You hear a
Very
raspy
witty.
sound emanating from the woman. You realise she's laughing at her own pun. Never did catch that boy. Tragic. You know them, the family? You ask. In a roundabout way. The mother, don't recall her name, was a sweet enough thing. A painter she was. Went about painting the lands hereabouts. What was her name? She raises a withered hand to her chin and bows her head in thought. Melissa, ma'am, you offer. Oh no, or was it mayhap? Anyway, my boy, I need to scoot. I don't rightly remember the way, but definitely take a left, young man, as it's out that way, she says, pointing to the west. And with that, she shuffles away, mumbling to herself. What will you do
Thank
now?
you.
What will you do now? You want to enter the garage, turn to 59. If you want to call it a day, look for a lodging, or get a fresh start in the morning, or return to your car and drive on. Perhaps there'll be a sign to point you in the right direction towards the hill.
Remind me, I didn't actually need petrol. I was looking for directions, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'll just get back in my car and go that way and hope for the best.
Cool.
I'll go left.
You get back in your car and roll away from the garage. Glance in your installed rearview mirror, which you found vital for the crowded Boston streets, and see what appears to be the garage attendant walking out in the middle of the street. He's watching you leave, rubbing his hands with a rag. You've picked up too much speed to bother stopping now. Further on, the road narrows and gets a bit rougher. It's almost 6 p.m. as you're rolling slowly along the leaf-strewn road through the woods, keeping an eye out for the house. The evening is fast approaching, and the low sun is now obscured by dark clouds. The overhanging trees are in cahoots with the clouds, darkening the evening more as they form
Damn
a
you,
tunnel.
trees.
Always the trees. As they form a tunnel that envelops the road. You switch on the headlights to improve visibility and prevent you from missing any telltale signs of the house's whereabouts.
I mean, there's meant to be a giant hill it's on.
The road starts to slope upwards,
That's convenient.
upwards, as you enter the hills that stretch across this side of Durham town.
Damn it.
A few minutes pass when you arrive at a fork in the road. The trees and brambles are thick, knotted together as though one wants to strangle the other. Even the electric lights from your car can't penetrate them to the other side. Protruding twigs and tree branches scrape the car every few feet. There's no signpost at the fork. Do you wish to go left, or do you wish to go right?
Oh, we're gonna go left.
Go left.
I've been told to go left.
You take the
Going
left.
left.
You take the left fork, the road getting a little bumpier. You soon arrive at another junction. Do you wish to continue straight on, or do you wish to turn right?
Keep going.
Going.
Could be a really short stream if I just drive away from Durham at this point. Just going back to Boston.
As your car jostles its way down the uneven road, you come to a turn off to the left. You can take this turn or continue straight on.
Straight on. We're gonna go.
Straight on, 357. The
It's so
road.
weird looking myself in the stream delay and just. That's what I was just doing.
The road appears to be in better repair. Before
That's
long,
good.
you start to doubt that this was the correct route to take.
Damn
The
it.
tree line faced the bush, affording you the chance to look around in dimming light. You spot the unmistakable outline of Sentinel Hill, and perched atop the
Yay!
house far off to the left and behind you, clearly heading
Bugger.
away from it. You curse your choice of direction and make to turn the car around. As you head back, the lateness of the hour and your own tiredness make you reconsider your actions. You now have a good idea of which way to go. Decide that doing so in the morning is the only sane choice. You head on back to Durham.
Wait, I'm a character in a horror game and I'm doing the same thing?
I know, right?
What is this madness?
Back in Durham. Well, at least you know where it's going. Well, at least you know where you're going now. Back in Durham, you wander around looking for a vacancy. You half expect you won't find one given the run of poor luck at the end of the trip has taken. But just as you reach the town edge, what's an available lodging? The landlords
Well, and
are
given the fact that no one's here, it should be fairly easy to find somewhere to stay.
a friendly middle-aged woman and her husband who are happy to offer lodgings to visitors of Durham for just a few dollars. Apologizing for the late hour, you explain your brief visit and the need to get off the road for the night. You're a sight for sore eyes, young man. We haven't had a lodger in 6 months, she says, taking your coat. You explain you may not be staying long. After a late bite to eat in a long, tiring, trying day, fall into an uneasy sleep. That is,
Yay.
that is,
Oh.
till you're suddenly awoken in the middle of the night.
Damn it.
Your eyes flick open. Flashes of green light fill the room through the window.
Aliens.
Lightning? The window
Oh,
is
okay.
open, but you were sure it was closed when you retired for the night.
Aliens.
Help us. You
Aliens.
promised. A distant voice, terrible and raspy. Your heart nearly stops as you dart out your eyes about the room. What? Who's there? Show yourself, you stammer. More green flashes of light pour through the window. Said you would go back. What do? Leap out of the bed and search the room for the source of the voice, or try and talk to the strange voice?
I'll try and talk to the voice.
Who's there? You ask, rather reasonably, sitting upright in the bed. No answer. Show yourself. Still nothing. You look around the room. There's not a feasible location for a speaker to hide, unless a sudden thought goes to the bed you're in. Do you wish to check under the bed, or do you wish to approach the open window?
I will approach the open window.
Anybody who has played the haunting scenario of Call of Cthulhu knows this may not be the best idea.
Yeah, so he's checking under the bed. Great.
You approach the window. There is no one in the street. The sky fills again with a flash of the sickly green light. In the distance you see a hill, and perched atop the silhouette of the house. Could that be the source of the light? The
Well, it would have been
voice.
so much easier to have just come here and looked at the feckin' thing before I just drove around randomly.
The voice, much fainter now, as though it were travelling on the wind, speaks one last time. Come, Frank. You promised. Speaker knows your name.
Who did I promise?
You wait, expecting more. Your
Oh,
heart rate eases. and nothing more is said. It's only then you notice the chill of the air blowing in the room, and quickly latch the window closed, as one flash of light floods the room with a green haze. You turn to get back into bed, but it's gone.
My bed. Oh. Where'd my bed go?
The green haze lifts. You find yourself standing in a long corridor. The
Where'd my
floors,
bedroom go?
walls, the ceiling all glint of polished metal, smooth and cold to the touch. At the end of the
Aliens.
corridor are 3 markings set into the walls. You see an oval marking in the wall ahead, a circle in the left wall, and a square in the right-hand wall. They are each large enough to be a door, but smooth and flush with the wall with no obvious way of opening. There's a low thrum in the air. You cannot tell if it's from the floor, the walls, or just in the air itself. The air
Aliens?
smells, of course, the air smells of ozone after a lightning storm. You wish to call out to see if someone will answer. Examine the circle marking on the left, examine the square marking on the right, or examine the oval marking at the end of the corridor.
Let's go circle marking.
As you start walking, metal floor sounds unnaturally loud with your footsteps. You reach out, touch the edge of the shape, and as you do, it sweeps aside to reveal a passage on the other side. The passage is undefined, blurred. You step through to see what lies beyond, and as you do, you suddenly lurch forward, sliding down a metal tube. The tube is slick and feels wet. Before you can get your bearings, you are deposited into a dark, cavernous chamber. Your landing is
Oh.
accompanied by a loud squelch as you find yourself atop a pile of offal. The smell is sickening. Try and move up to sit upright, but instead slide down one side of the mound of flesh and entrails, rolling over and over. Hitting the bottom of the mound, you spit repeatedly, feeling the entrails all around you. Stand up and look around. The chamber seems infinite. Hundreds of mounds of bones and guts in all directions, and each with a single light source above the peak of the mound where an opening for a chute lies. Human skulls are evident in the masses of meat and bone. Make a composure check, 2d6 plus 1. You want to get under your composure.
I rolled a 6, so 7, and my composure is 10 at the moment. So success?
Yeah, that's how that works. Yep. So you succeed.
Success.
The only way out is the way you came in, through the chutes above. Impossible to reach, you spend the rest of your short life here, slowly going hungry and mad. Record in your investigative journal that you dreamt of a terrifying pit filled with flesh and bone, plus 4 mythos points.
Dreamt of pit. And sorry, plus 4.
Those points. There should be a space for mythos points.
Plus 4 mythos.
That's current mythos points, I believe.
Current mythos.
Yep.
4.
Because the idea is that you can play this investigation over and over, and each time it comes to different results.
Cool. Dreamt of pit.
Possible treats. You spend the rest of your short life here, slowly going hungry and mad. That is, until you wake up.
Oh.
You awake, not in the bed, but on the floor between the bed and the window. You feel tired, as though you haven't really slept at all. You know you dreamt last night, but the memory of it has faded from your mind. Dragging
Wow, that's
yourself
nice.
to your feet, you immediately go to the window. It's raining outside. The morning is heavily overcast and grey. Still, with your mind made up, you get dressed and prepare for the journey to the house. You remember seeing flashes of green light. That much you recall. And you strongly believe that wasn't part of any dream. Once downstairs, you casually ask the landlady if she saw anything odd last night, or lightning, but she reports nothing, giving you a quizzical look. Get your automobile checked over at Pete's Fuel Depot, as you do not want to have any trouble in the rain. After some small talk and further confirmation that nothing was seen last night, drive on, satisfied with the condition of your vehicle.
I think I've gone again.
Uh-oh.
I might be back now.
I think you're back now. You drive on.
So after small talk, sorry.
Yep. Yeah. You drive on satisfied with the condition of your vehicle.
Okay.
The rain is heavy at times, lessens, then returns with a vengeance. The road is muddy and bumpy. There's enough daylight to afford you a glimpse of the hill every 100 or so feet through a weakened tree line. Directions or not, finding the house in the day is a far easier task than last night proved. You arrive at the track that leads to the house, trying to recall that strange voice from last night, an echo of a nightmare. Choosing to let your imagination get the better of you, you take a deep breath and exit your vehicle. You turn your colour up against the rain, step through the tree line. The track leads slightly upwards, twisting and turning through the blighted landscape. A tunnel of dead trees looms on either side of the trail. Despite the dull morning, you're immediately drawn to the sight between two twisted grey trees ahead of you. The house.
Bom bom bom.
Though the house stands atop the hill, the thickly knotted tree branches and dense lifeless briars lend the area almost complete privacy and inaccessibility, save for this one track you followed. The grey mottled wood panelling of the house seeps into the skyline behind, making the house look undefined, as though it were willing its surroundings to shadow it and hide it away. Each of the downstairs windows are boarded up, the upper floor windows in various states of repair. The attic window top and center is the only fully intact window you can see. The front door also looks intact, though the porch is littered with loose timber and wood panels, twigs and other woodland debris. There is no sign at all of living vegetation. Dead, crumbling creeper vines cling to the outer walls like grey varicose veins running upwards to the thatched roof. The roof tiles appear to be intact on this side, from what little visibility you're afforded on the ground. The rain continues to beat down as you head up the porch steps, taking care not to trip over the myriad of loose branches littering the way. Thankful for the shelter, you stop to take a breath. Long streams of water run down each side of the porch and batter the muddy ground. Check your investigator's journal. If you have recorded you've been invited to the house, turn to reference. If you recorded you were warned to leave the house alone. I don't think you got either of those, have you? You weren't invited and you weren't warned, no. Well,
apparently, though, I have promised to come here, says a voice in the sky, but apparently that doesn't count for
that doesn't count for this, no. Do you wish to knock on the door? Try the door to see if it is unlocked? Or head around the side of the house and look for another way in?
Well, I don't think anybody's living here, are they? Like, the newspaper article I had was like, we're leaving it so that we can go in with forensic science.
What's it going to be?
Just try the door.
Try the door.
Just try the door.
What's the worst that could happen?
I could fall into a pit of offal again.
You push on the door, and to your surprise, it opens. Easing it to open further, there's a loud creak from the old neglected hinges. You step into the darkness beyond the door and wait for your eyes to adjust. You are standing in a dim hallway. Old picture frames line the wall on the left. The main staircase runs up on the right-hand side. At the foot of the stairs on your right is a door. Facing you at the end of the hallway is another door. Finally, there's a door under the stairs which likely leads to the basement. Where do you want to explore? The door nearest you at the foot of the stairs? The basement door? The door ahead of you at the end of the hallway? Or do you wish to go upstairs? Or call out to see if there's anybody here?
Could I bother you to go back to the Newport Examiner article and just refresh my memory if I know where any of the stuff happened. Do we
Um,
know where any of the bodies were found?
Investigation. It just says the bodies were found at the house. I'm not seeing any particular rooms.
Okay. Upstairs is an option.
Yes.
Let's go there first.
The stairs creak with each step you take. When you near the top, you are suddenly shocked by the appearance of a figure stepping out in front of you.
Ah, there's a finger!
You've no time to react as a syringe is jabbed into your shoulder.
Ow, my shoulder!
You tumble backwards downstairs and hurt yourself badly. Lose 3 health.
Oh, bugger!
You have been injected with a sedative and feel it taking effect. The figure follows slowly down the steps. You might be of use, young man. I'm Professor Albert Peabody. Please to... You black out before you can hear him finish.
I don't think I will.
There's your betrayal. You have
Yes, your sudden yet inevitable betrayal.
You've been betrayed at the house on the hill. Flashes of green light pierce your vision. A pulsing thrum sends pain through your head. You try to open your eyes, but all you see is a blur, and a flash of green forces them shut again. You hear a cry. It's working! It sounds distant and drawn out. Fade in and out of consciousness. In your weakened state, you think you hear a terrible scream, then there's a sudden silence. When you awake fully, you're lying on the floor. Your hands and feet have been tied, but you notice that your bonds have been cut. You push yourself up to a sitting position. It appears you are in the attic. It is dark. There only one grimy window for a light source down the far end facing you. The rain beats down noisily on the roof above. Standing in the middle of the attic floor is a strange metal device 4 feet tall. It is a pillar of polished metal that glints in the dim light of the attic. And, like tentacles, many copper wires snake their way from openings in the device, running across the floor and disappearing into the walls. A perfect sphere of the same polished metal sits atop the device, set partway into the base. In an almost perfect circle, 3 feet around the device, lie a ring of dead animals, everything from rats, mice, flies, beetles, and centipedes. Some look fresher than others. The possibility of a bad smell is masked instead with the odour of chlorine bleach. What you see just beyond the device sends you into a mild shock. The professor is lying on the floor, his body twisted at the middle, while his lower half is facing almost entirely the wrong direction. Blood runs down into the seams of the floorboards. His eyes are wide open, frozen in terror. Make a very hard composure check. This is composure 2d6 plus 2 against your composure.
Oh, poop.
What did
I
you
rolled a 12.
Ooh.
So that's 14 total.
If you fail, lose 2 composure. I think you're approaching modifiers, aren't you?
So sorry, you need to repeat what I lost because
You lose 2 composure.
yeah, one more composure loss and I start losing perception.
I think your health you're going to lose stuff on the next round as well, up for health, aren't you?
Correct. One more health lost and I lose dexterity. It's a good thing I maxed out my ability to have dexterity and perception.
Something moves in the far corner. Lurking in the darkness is a small hunched figure.
Ow, what do I do?
You're about to ask who is there, when it speaks first in a strained and raspy voice. Fumble to take out your flashlight. Frank, where are my family? You must go back. How do you know me? You answer, both terrified and overwhelmingly intrigued. Frank, it's me, Edward. You saved me.
That's news.
Did you kill the professor? You ask, your nervousness showing through. Yes, I had to. He planned to stop us. He is working for them. It's then that you notice.
Hey.
Oh, it gets better.
Oh.
It's then that you notice blood dripping from the serrated edge of the claw at the end of his arm. Edward lurches to one side and starts to shuffle out of the darkness towards you. What do? Decide this is all too much and flee the house? Use your flashlight to get a better look at the figure? Or ask more questions and find out how exactly this could be Edward?
Oh, we're in for a penny, we're in for a pound. Let's ask it some questions.
You said your name was Edward? Edward Turn? Yes. Already know this. You notice a hint of confusion in his voice, despite the unnatural qualities it contains. Come out into the light, Edward, if you could, please. He moves forward, allowing more light to fall across his misshapen body. You can see him more clearly now, but can't understand how he could be Edward Turn, for he would be in his 20s if he was still alive. His face is that of a boy as reported in the article to be 12 years old. He looks gaunt and sickly and of a similar size for a boy that age, but hunched over and slightly twisted. His right foot is turned in and looks to be dead weight, dragging behind him. His right arm is elongated, nearly twice the length as his arm should be, and worse still, at the end, in place of a hand, is a hideous engineered prosthetic of a metal claw. The claw is articulated, wide, and jointed. It looks jagged and sharp, quite dangerous. Left arm looks normal, at least what you can see of it. What do you want to ask? What would you like to ask? I'll see if it fits one of these options.
What are my what are my options? Because I'm drawing a blank right now of just like fuck.
To inquire about his claw and other physical changes.
I mean, that's a pretty good option.
To ask where he's been all this time. Or how is he still only 12 years old?
Where have you been all this time?
You ask where he's been for all this time. He puts his head down and places his one good hand over it. We have been there, fighting them. Know this. You made me leave them. Had to leave them behind or die. But now you go back as promised. I have the key. Edward produces a small, glowing, diamond-shaped object from his pocket and moves towards the machine.
What is the key?
Edward inserts the diamond-shaped object into a recess on the side of the machine.
Oh, poo.
It begins to hum. He then turns some of the dials in frustration. Which is it, Frank? He looks up at you with a pleading look in his eyes. What do you need me to do, you answer, horrified at the entire macabre scenario that is playing out before you.
They are expecting you in the test chamber, Mr. Freeman.
He steps back, pointing at the dials. You must know how to activate, like before. His frustration is growing, and it seems like it may lead to violence. You don't know how much longer he will restrain himself. What will you do? Approach the dials and hit and hope? Or tell Edward that you have never seen this device before and you do not know how to operate it?
This feels timey-wimey, but let's try and see if I can... Oh, let's hit and hope.
I'll try. Give me a moment, you plead, as you take a closer look at the device. The metal of the device is smooth and polished. 4 prominent dials are set into the pillar and are etched with a single point each, denoting where they can be adjusted to. Small notches encircle each dial, similar to a dial on the safe, and one notch resting directly at the east point is larger than the others. You surmise this could be denoting a 0 position. There are no other distinguishing marks or numbers. You believe they could be angular degrees based on the number of marks present around each dial. How do you want to set the first dial? Set it to 100 degrees. Set it to 90 degrees. Set it to 190 degrees. Or set it to 75 degrees.
100.
100 is a good number, isn't it?
It's a fine number.
You turn the first dial.
I'm really confused as to what we were discussing at one point where Ben...
But cherry ice cream. Yeah. Unless it was the blood dripping from the guy's floor. Let's wait for him to come back. Spence is killing. John has... There we are.
I'm back.
You're back, yep. I believe the cherry ice cream may be the blood dripping from his fingers.
Oh, that's probably it.
You turn the first dial, what you believe to be 100 degrees. How do you want to set the second dial? 45 degrees, 121 degrees, or 37 degrees?
Let's go 37. It's random. Let's do it. 37.
Turn the second dial,
Chevron 2 encoded.
what you believe to be 37 degrees. How do you want to set the third dial? Leave it as it is, set to 90, or set to 47? Want me to repeat any of those?
90.
90. This is where... This,
90.
Yep.
I may be apparently having a rough connection.
Yep. This is where I learned to leave my finger in the previous entry before turning to the next entry, so I don't forget what it is. You turn the third dial, I believe there are only 4 dials, to what you believe to be 90 degrees. The fourth dial, 17 degrees, 100 degrees, or leave it at 0. Uh-oh. John has dropped off. Wait for him to come back. Stream, chat, how are you enjoying it so far? John is coming back in. It's interesting. It is. It is.
Hello.
Hello. Want to just sit with your camera? Do you want to sit with your camera off?
I'm gonna see.
Or do you want to try your camera again?
I'm gonna see if I can. Yeah, let's try the camera again.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it's still showing me as having internet issues. I don't know why, because I'm the only person here using the internet right now.
We'll see how it goes. If not, we can try. We'll have your camera off. So, do you want me to repeat the options? For the fourth,
yes, please.
For the fourth dial.
I heard none of it. For the fourth dial.
For the fourth dial, 17 degrees. Oh wow. The house is.
Oh, that's fun.
That's interesting. That's new and exciting. 17 degrees, 100 degrees, or 0 degrees.
Let's go 100 again.
You set the fourth dial to 100 degrees and step back from the device. Suddenly, a bright flash of green light shoots upwards from the sphere atop the machine. A low thrum pulses in the air. The light flickers, slowly at first, then faster and faster until it becomes a solid beam. Edward stares intently at the beam of light. Yes! He cries excitedly. You did it!
No!
You appear to have done it somehow. The sphere...
I don't know if I wanted to.
The sphere starts to tilt, sending the beam downwards, coming to rest parallel with the floor. Where it strikes the attic wall, it seems to form what you can only describe as a doorway. A bright, orange light penetrates from the other side of the portal, creating a haze that competes with the eerie green glow from the device. Go! Now! Edward cries. Go! Before it is too late. Equal parts terrified and fascinated, you step up to the shimmering doorway. The thrum of the machine pulses through your head. Now, Edward cries from behind you. Consider the possibility of dashing to the attic stairs and getting as far away from this nightmare as you can. But before you can, Edward loses patience and pushes you through. You stumble through the portal. A quick flash forces your eyes shut. Then you open them again as you emerge on the other side. A searing heat incinerates you instantly. Your calculations were wrong. You have emerged on the surface of a burning star. Record in your investigator journal, you went through the portal and died instantly on the surface of a sun. -3 mythos points.
And to surface of star.
-3 mythos points.
1 mythos point left.
Your investigation ends here.
Oh, well, whoops. I mean, that is one way to end an investigation.
That is one way to end an investigation.
The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference, Mr. Freeman.
So, can either, if you want, would you like to start from the beginning again? Or would you like to return back to the place where you entered the house and had a choice of where to go?
Let's return to the entrance of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go somewhere else.
Okay.
Let's rewind time a little, Mr. Freeman.
So, suddenly your vision is giddy and you feel like time's starting to reverse itself, and you find yourself back in the dim hallway from when you first entered the house. Would you like to open the door near to you at the foot of the stairs? The basement door? Or the door ahead of you at the end of the hallway? Call out to see if anybody is there.
Well, Stanza was excited to see the basement.
Shall we try the basement then?
So let's go to the basement. What could be wrong in the basement?
The basement door opens over a stairway leading into the darkness below. A damp, mouldy smell rises from the basement, but mixed with something else. A chemical odour? Take your flashlight from your satchel and aim it down. Dust smokes fill the beam as it shines on the stone ground. Can't see anything unusual from up here. What will you do? Head down the steps? Or try one of the other doors? Or call out to see if anybody is home?
Let's head down the stairs. Because I don't want to let Professor Peabody, that I don't know that's here, know that I'm here.
I think because the way we're doing this, and this is like a one-shot, we'll stop recording the mythos points, because otherwise you'll see why in a moment. Using the flashlight, you scan the basement. Loose stones, pieces of wood and dirt litter the floor. Russian wooden shelves rest against two of the walls. Contain nothing of interest. Empty and broken bottles and various containers of junk. Piles of wooden crates lean against the south-facing wall. Seeing nothing of interest here, you head back up the steps. Suddenly you're surprised by a figure at the top of the stairs just as you're coming out. A man, possibly late 50s, steps in front of you and jabs you with a syringe. You fall backwards, stumbling down the steps, breaking your neck in the process. You were killed by an unknown assailant on the basement stairs.
This doesn't seem very fair.
Back to the hallway?
Why do I even have a combat score?
You haven't met I don't know, you haven't met any enemies to fight yet.
I've met 2 enemies to fight, and both times they've gone, meh.
You return to the dim hallway in the house. Would you like to open the door?
Leg it up the stairs and thump the professor in the face. Let's try the door.
The door at the foot of the stairs, or the door at the end of the hallway?
The Oh, that was the wrong button. I'll try this again. Let's see if this works. The door at the foot of the stairs.
Foot. You reach for the door at the foot of the stairs when suddenly a voice calls from the landing above. You're trespassing, lad. Draped in darkness, a figure stands on the landing above looking down at you. You apologise, but explain that you had come out of the rain and had been looking for the house. The man descends the stairs slowly. When he comes into the dim light of the hallway below, you can see he is around late 50s, about 5'5" in height and unshaven. Balding at the crown of his head, his remaining grey hair is a little long and unkempt. Sorry to bother you, sir. Frank Winston. I write for the Arkham Gazette and... Arkham, you say? Arkham? You're from that blasted university, aren't you? University? It's a good tonic. Could this be Professor Peabody from the newspaper article? Did you come back to the house? You explain that you aren't associated with the university at all and show him the news clipping. He acknowledges that he is the professor. Let's you come up then, Frank from Arkham. His manner is suddenly becoming more pleasant. You get a sudden rush of excitement and follow him up the stairs. When you reach the top, he gestures for you to head on past him. You turn and continue on, when suddenly... Oh, I missed the thing there. Page is gone. When suddenly you get a sharp pain in your back. The professor stuck a syringe in you while your back was turned. You let out a cry while trying to reach back and pull it out. What on earth? You shout, confused. The professor stands back, emotionless, as your vision blurs. Fall to your knees, then black out.
I'd just like to say, fuck you.
It seems that whatever happens, you end up getting stabbed with a syringe. And you're back in the attic.
Well, we know where this goes.
Not necessarily. There are other options.
We know where that probably goes.
Mm-hmm.
What does the other door do?
Find out. The 484. Door opens into a large kitchen that encompasses the whole back of the house. However, it is as expected in poor condition. It doesn't look as though anyone prepares meals here. The counters and table are covered in dust, with numerous cobwebs stretching in all directions. There's nothing useful here. Now what? Done the basement door, done the door at the foot of the stairs, head up the stairs. The other option is to call out to see if there's anybody here. Oh.
Hey, Professor.
And it's the professor again, and all roads lead to the attic, basically. Oh, that page is come up. That's not. There's something else. There's something else happening in the attic then.
Shall we try the attic again?
Yep. So you meet up with
and then I think we'll. If I fail the attic this time, we'll call it there.
Okay. I think I know what's happening. But okay. So it's Edward. I'm not going to make you do the composure check again because this is kind of like the previous composure one. What do you do? So you met Edward.
I'm back to where I was last time.
Decide it's all too much and flee the house.
I will not.
Use your flashlight to get a better look at the figure, or ask more questions.
Fuck it, let's run. Let's get out of here.
You drop your flashlight before you can even turn it on and make up your mind up to get out of this house of horrors. You turn and flee, which prompts a terrible cry of anguish from the unseen speaker. You suddenly hear the bounding of it moving fast through the attic, behind you as you flee down the stairs. You hit the bottom of the attic stairway when that terrible cry goes out again. Frank! Only this time the cry is right behind you. It's fast, incredibly fast. Perhaps you're a victim of its rage, or perhaps a victim of its intense desire to have you accomplish something for it, as it catches you too quickly. But in the pursuit you are knocked forcibly down the main stairs. You turn and twist over and over, your neck snaps on the bottom step and all goes dark. You are pushed down the stairs and killed. You know what I think it is?
Oh. What do you think it is?
I think it's the device. Different combinations of wheels take you to different places.
I'd assume so, but I mean, guessing them is not going to go well. You kind of need to find you need to find something that tells you where they go to.
Part of the idea of the book
And
is that you keep on playing it, and as you keep on playing it, think you'd like you take different pathways. So it's like it builds up. Which
yeah,
which I believe is the reason why all pages are falling out of this. Why Edward starts saying like, what you did before.
Stanza says there is worse than a star.
So
Oh. It'd be nice if I'd written down where I said we were going last time. Well, I think we'll with tech difficulties.
yeah,
Yeah, we tried
we
and
tried. I,
died several
I
times.
probably like have a look through have a go through this myself, but I think the idea is that you're obviously forced into the attic. You're obviously forced to play with that machine, but I think it's what you set it to is where depends on determines where you go. I think that's how that works.
Yeah.
So yeah. With that, you want to move to the
A
credits?
little bit earlier
A
than
little bit earlier
usual,
than
but
usual, but let's go to the credit screen.
go to the credits.
We have credits, yes. So let's see. On Sunday, oh John, it's our new Christmas crossover campaign. Rain, is it crossover or is it a new Christmas special?
It is crossover.
It is
It
crossover.
is a Christmas crossover special. Reign of the Whispered One. Vecna has taken over Abir Torel. The heroes that are supposed to have stopped him seem to have vanished.
That's not good.
Which isn't ideal. Where were they? Let's find out in the start of the Reign of the Whispered One, which this episode is yourself,
Hmm?
Tanny, Rogue, the Angel Games player, Sean, and Smitty.
Okay.
And I will be possibly telling you classes that you will be playing between now and then, but you'll be getting your character sheets about an hour before the session starts, if not a little bit later than that. So it will be a surprise for everybody who they're playing. Jeff, read up on Barbarian.
I know barbarians. I've played a barbarian
Cool.
before.
I mean, they're all like a lot of them are classes that you've played before for reasons.
You hit the thing over the head. That's what you do.
Yeah, it's simple. On Monday, we'll be back. Myself and Chris will be back on the Minecraft Monday server with more Minecrafting. We have done the numbers. We need to melt the numbers down and turn them into the calculation processors. And then, but that's not what we're doing Monday. On Monday, we are working on portality because we need to go to the desert to get oil and turn it into fuel. And then we are also working on matter plastics so that we can build our spacecraft. Then Tuesday, it's the Great Brindlewood Bay Bake Off.
Yep, we're back in the world of Brindlewood Bay with our murder mavens, as the legally off-brand Grand Britain bakery show has come to town, and our murder mavens are in the final along with some other contestants. Surely nothing can go wrong. Surely it's just a baking show. We know how this works, right?
Yeah, baking shows are nice and harmless.
Nothing can go wrong.
On Wednesday night, War in Harlem. I don't know if you saw it last night, but I was getting pretty close to the end of Spider-Man Miles Morales when the game decided I'd done playing it for the night. So we'll come back on Wednesday next week, where hopefully it will let us continue and maybe finish off that game because it's really good and I'm enjoying it a lot. Thursday next week, Angel will be playing some more Genshin Impact over on the Angel Games Player channel, and on Friday next week, Jeff, it is
It is, in theory,
Princes of the
the
Apocalypse finale.
final episode of the Princes of the Apocalypse, as the party has one weapon to put into one portal to close
If all
it.
goes according to plan.
But there's some big nasty things standing in their way.
It sounds easy when you say it that way.
We'll find out.
Oh, I wish there wasn't.
Find out. So, with that, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
We'll see how that goes.
Thank you
I'm
all
sure
very much in the
fine.
chat. Sorry, yep, I'm trying to wind up. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Well, thank you everybody in the chat for watching. If you haven't done so already, please do drop us a follow. It's a great way to support us, completely free way to support the channel. Great way to see when we go live. We just run through the streams. If you haven't done so, already, if you have Twitch Prime, you can give a once a month free subscription to your favorite streamer. We'd like it to be us, but it can be whoever you want. In fact, so we also have a Discord channel.
Just don't forget about it, because that leaves Bezos some money.
Yeah, that leaves Bezos with some money. We do have a Discord channel.
We do.
Join. Put the link there. The link is also below the main stream window. Was there anything else we had to talk about? I think that was it mainly, wasn't it? We have our YouTube channel. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel where all the
podcasts.
Podcasts, yes. Do you want to talk about podcasts?
I apparently do, but also have like so much delay on what I'm saying to you right now. It's unreal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go restart my router after this.
Mm.
We've started doing podcasts again of the D&D game. Audio only versions of our D&D games have been going live at the moment on Mondays. You can find them everywhere you get good podcasts. We are on Pocket Casts, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts. We're in all the places where you can find podcasts, hopefully under the Final Boss Fight Podcast Network. At the moment, you'll find a lot of Dungeon of the Mad Mage, but then possibly after December, I'm going to start alternating it back and forth. So 1 week it will be a Dungeon of the Mad Mage podcast. 1 week it will be a Rime of the Frost Maiden podcast. Also in December on the YouTube channel, because I'm out of Rime of the Frost Maiden episodes, we're going to have a month of Dungeon of the Mad Mage replays going live on YouTube to sort of catch up through the backlog that we have there. So every Tuesday and Thursday in December, there will be a Dungeon of the Mad Mage episode going live at 12:30 on YouTube.
There we go. That's what I was trying to show before. So, with that, shall we see who's live? Spammels is live. Shall we go into raiding to Spammels, playing Sea of Thieves?
Thank you, Jeff, for resubscribing for 61 months in a row. I'd say let's go to Ben.
Oh, is Ben live?
Ben the Quest Giver is live.
Didn't see him on my list. We can go to Ben the Quest Giver.
Yeah.
Ben the Quest Giver playing Inscription. Start the raid. Why is it unable to raid at this time? That's not a good thing. Well, we're hoping to raid him. Let's try that again. Ben the Quest Giver.
You try it, I'll try it, we'll both try it.
Hold on, I've got it, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So, with that,
you got it.
We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Here we go. See you next time, guys.